Welcome back to Casual Bias Rugby. The Rugby World Cup has finally concluded. The Boks coming out the victors, and I mean it's the thrill and the agony of the game. On the one side, we as South Africans went absolutely crazy yesterday or last night. Still feeling it this morning. Of course, that's why we didn't put out a video last night, because we were in no place to make a video. Maybe I had too much to drink, and of course you have the agony on the other side with New Zealand, and it's a tough loss. You don't want to experience the loss in a final, especially putting up a performance like New Zealand did. Here's just a short clip that I posted on TikTok yesterday after the game, like literally seconds or a minute after the game. Just have a look at it.
New Zealand, well done. All love and respect from South Africa. But this video is for us, Springbok fans, South Africa, united as a nation. We've just made history!
Of course, as you can see, total love and respect to everyone in New Zealand, the New Zealand rugby team, the All Blacks. What a performance they put up. In this video, we'll just run through the two teams, say what was the turning point in the game, where everyone had the advantage, and then maybe where South Africa probably got the upper hand to get the victory over the line. Let's get into it. Of course, first and foremost, history has been made. I've said respect to New Zealand from our country and everything, but this is for us. This is for us as a country. You know, when it comes to rugby, I know it is the same in New Zealand, but rugby in our country is the one thing that brings our diverse nation from different backgrounds, different religions, different races, everything. It brings us all together. Is this rugby team? It's almost like a political stance, this rugby team. You know, the country is going to be good for a couple of weeks when we win the Rugby World Cup. So this means everything to us to get into the history books as the second team to ever win the Rugby World Cup back to back, the first team to ever win the Rugby World Cup 4 times. I mean, it's absolutely brilliant. I wouldn't say this makes us the best rugby nation to ever do it. I still got the All Blacks there because they dominated over years. They've won us, beat us more than we've beat them. But that makes us the best Rugby World Cup team. And that's just absolutely brilliant. Of course, I'm struggling to find words to describe the feeling that we had last night. And it's really just you can't explain it. You literally can't explain it. It's a game that had literally everything. You had a try disallowed as well. Had kicks at goal. You had kicks at goal missed. You had some shaky ref calls. You had some very good ref calls. You had some passion, some fight. I've never seen the haka so brilliant as I did yesterday. I've never sang the national anthem as I sang it yesterday. Literally had tears in my eyes watching the game. From a point where we were nervous before the game, we started almost feeling, okay, we've actually got this. We're going to win the Rugby World Cup. And then started thinking, holy shit, we are actually going to fumble it. It was a roller coaster of emotions throughout the whole game. And we went absolutely crazy at the end of it. Yeah, I can understand. You could say New Zealand deserved maybe to win the game. They fought with 14 men. They had some shaky calls going their way. And let's speak about the shaky calls. Because I, as a South African, I have to admit, sometimes we blame the ref. I wouldn't necessarily blame Wayne Barnes or the refs for the decisions, but there is a couple that I disagree with. Starting off, at the start of the game, we shouldn't have had the penalty with the 3 points from Andre Pollard's boot, because Ari Savia was clean over the ball, and Wayne Barnes actually apologized for that because he didn't see the replay. Of course, he doesn't have a replay just for that. You can't ask the TMO to come in for that. He thought Ari Savia was part of the tackle and didn't release. Turns out he wasn't part of the tackle, and it was a clean turnover, which is fair enough. I can understand that you would be frustrated with that one. Sometimes it goes your way, sometimes it doesn't go your way. Of course, the big talking point, Sam Kane's red card. Now, if you look at the letter of the law, probably It should have been a red card, but when I saw it on the TV, I was like, that shouldn't be a red card. Firstly, because it's a World Cup final. You don't want a card deciding the game at all. Okay, now you could say South Africa played better against 15 men, the All Blacks, versus as to when they played against the 14 men All Blacks. I didn't think it was a red card. A yellow card because it was a hit with the shoulder into the head. But I don't think there was any malicious intent in that. Now, of course, you'll get South Africans that disagree with it again, and I'm fine with that. So, yeah, I think it was a bit harsh, but that's just my opinion. If you go at the letter of the law, it is a red, okay? Which means the right call was made. But for the game of rugby and for the moment, I didn't want that to be a red at all. So I can see New Zealand being a bit mad about that one. Going on to the yellow card of Cheslin Kolbe, that should have been a yellow. It was a knockdown. New Zealand were on the attack, never had a chance of intercepting the ball, had his hand out, yellow card. More than fair. But Siya Kolisi's, it's a rugby collision. He's tackling him on the ball and then he just gets whipped forward. It's the slightest of touches. And that yellow card absolutely destroyed us, totally flipped the momentum. Like we couldn't stay with the All Blacks during that 10-minute period. It was absolutely insane. And Siya Kolisi made me mad a couple of times. Now listen, I love Siya. I'm saying he's captain South Africa, captain rugby, captain everything. But Siya Kolisi had a break, could have just passed it either way and we scored. He didn't do that. And then afterwards got the penalty and conceded the yellow card whilst we were on vicious attack as well. And I think from there, New Zealand might have gone the other way to score a try whilst he was off the field. So it was just like, it was heartbreak because at that moment, I think the score was it 12-6 or 12-3 or something? And that could have been game done and dusted if we scored that try. But oh my goodness, I don't think I've ever been as mad as at a player as I was for Siya there. The same with when Faf tackled Talia off the ball when Talia never even had the ball. I mean, it was just, sometimes I just feel we were absolutely stupid. But anyway, let's move into the teams and the standout performances. We'll just go match and match with the two lineups. I've got the two lineups here in front of me. Scrum time, very, very even between the two teams. Ethan de Groot and Tyrell Lomax can be very, very proud of themselves at the scrum time, going up against Steven Kitshoff and Frans Malherbe. It was very, very even. But the big talking point could be Bonky going off early. Okay, that was very stupid from Shannon Frizzell to jump into his leg like that. Of course, that cost Bonky 2 World Cups in a row now. Okay, so Bonky went off early against England and he went off earlier against New Zealand. Crazy. But Deon Fourie coming on, and now as good as Deon Fourie has been, he isn't a straight up hooker. He plays on the flank. Okay, but you could just see the loss because he was good at the start when it came to scrum time, when he's still fresh and everything, but he isn't a hooker, so he can't scrum throughout the whole game, especially with the lineouts as well, and we'll talk about that soon. So when the subs of New Zealand came on and the subs of us came on, they had Nepululala absolutely destroying Deon Fourie in the scrum. So Ox and Trevor couldn't necessarily do their job because Deon is getting smoked in the scrum. But yeah, so that was a big loss for us, especially in the lineouts as well. Let's just talk about it now. I've never seen as many lineouts lost in a game from either team. I think we stole like 2 or 3 of theirs. They stole about 10 of ours. The fact that we threw in a lineout and New Zealand caught the ball and ran a backline move from our own lineout just tells you everything you need to know. Brody Retallick and Brody Retallick was an absolute menace in our lineout. I think Sam Whitelock was as well. Jeez, it was crazy. I keep on going back to this, but you have to put respect on the 14-man New Zealand team. They never had a dying attitude. They always came out to play. They literally, when you think you write them off, the game's over, they just find a way to get it back. Of course, they made history as well by being the first team to score a try against South Africa in a World Cup final. Eben Etzebeth and Franco Moster, both of them putting in workhorse performances. Now, I'm just thinking, if I see Eben, I just see how he smoked Richie Mo'unga. Now, if I have to speak about Richie Mo'unga, I've never seen a guy get smoked so many times in one game. Literally was Eben Etzebeth and Pieter Stef de Tooy, just both literally were told we're running full steam on Richie Mo'unga and trying to kill this guy. That's literally what it felt like watching this game. And I just mentioned him, Pieter Stef de Tooy had an absolutely blockbuster game. That is probably, for me, the performance of a player in this whole tournament. The best performance I've seen throughout the tournament from Pieter Stef de Tooy. If you think of everything he did, he was always there for an offload. He was always there to make the hard hits. He was always there in the breakdown. He competed at ruck time to steal the ball. He was brilliant. How many tackles did the guy make? I'm pretty sure he made like 98. Of course, I'm exaggerating, but Pieter Stef de Tooy was absolutely immense. And then, of course, you have Ari Savia on the other side. Also just there, working the whole time. The whole New Zealand team, everyone put up their hand. It was a never say die attitude from them. The standout performer for me as well in the All Blacks team, you've got to give credit to Mark Talia. How this guy can't get tackled, I do not know. Literally, there's so much pressure on the guy. Gets the ball. If we make the tackle, we can go with full momentum over that ball, win it. And somehow he just gets away from everyone. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be Cheslin Kolbe or Kurtley Arendse trying to tackle him, or Damian Willems, or even Eben Etzebeth. I don't even care. This guy always slips one or two tackles. How is he that elusive? It just doesn't make sense. Of course, and then the final guy in the starting lineups I want to talk about is Handré Pollard. I mean, what a story. Not in the squad, injured throughout. Hasn't played a lot of rugby for us in the past year or two. Comes back, 100% kicking percentage throughout the whole tournament for him. And he only started against Tonga from there. Wow. And he's won his 2 Rugby World Cups now. I want to know from you guys, where does Handré Pollard go into the debate when we talk about the best 10s to ever grace this earth? Like people would say Dan Carter, you would say Johnny Wilkinson, you probably throw in there Johnny Sexton. Handré Pollard has to be up there for that. Surely he goes above the likes. I know Johnny Wilkinson was brilliant, and as a player you could probably say Johnny Wilkinson is better, and as a player Dan Carter is better. I don't think he's above Dan Carter, don't get me wrong, but surely Handré Pollard goes up there now because he's got a shithouse full of points for the Boks. He's got 2 World Cups. He's got a couple of rugby championships. Of course, he's won a British and Irish Lions tour. So surely this guy goes up there as well as one of the greats. Overall, very, very happy. Moving on to the benches, and Samisoni Takiao, Tamaiti Williams and Nepalulala totally flipped the dynamic as well for New Zealand going into the scrum battle. Oxenche and Trevor Nyakane, they just couldn't have the impact necessarily that they always have at scrum time. But Ox came out, and the amount of meters he made with like his crash balls was insane. The Oxenche is there for us for a couple of more years. And I'm so excited to see it. Like Trevor's a bit on the older side, Skitsy and Francois Herbe all on the older side of the game, but Oxenche still has a couple more years in him. He could probably play another World Cup or 2 if I'm not mistaken, because props can play till they are about 80 years old. But Samisoni Takiao and Tamaiti Williams, yeah, those guys really put up their hands. Tamaiti Williams is a future star. I mean, the guys, I think he's like my age, and he weighs about 160 kilograms. It's absolutely ridiculous. But the main standout for South Africa when it came to the bench has to be Kwagga Smith. The guy is ruthless. He's a bulldog. He's just everywhere. I mean, who was it? Will Jordan that got the ball, got tackled by Cheslin Kolbe, and Kwagga literally ripped the ball in one movement, handed off who was it that was trying to tackle him? I can't even remember. Handed him off and just secured the ball for us. He was there to get crucial turnovers for us at the ruck time. And that's in the end why we won 12-11. New Zealand, you could probably say, dominated the second half. South Africa should have had a couple more points. If you look at the missed chances with the offload of Siya Kolisi, we to say it nicely, we battered New Zealand at the start. Literally destroyed New Zealand at the start. It didn't look like they had a clue what to do. And then the script flipped totally, and we were on the defense. New Zealand were piling on the pressure. New Zealand probably deserved to win the game with the way they were playing for periods between, I think it was you could say from about 35 minutes to minutes 65 to 70. They were dominant. New Zealand were absolutely dominated, dominant over us. We didn't have a lot of answers. We got lucky at certain points. We had some calls going our way, and that's part of the game. So I don't mind New Zealand being in the comments talking about the refs, because I can understand that you feel this way. Let me know what you guys thought about the game. History has been made for us as a nation. Of course, people can talk about the refs and everything, but for us, this means everything. Okay, so we'll take this as a victory for us, and it's brilliant for our country. Thank you very much. See you next time.